Well, you may have deja vu in parts of Ontario over the next couple of days. This was a year ago, an ice storm that caused widespread damage, especially through cottage country, so north of Toronto, through the Kawarthas, a lot of rural areas, but also places like Orillia and Barrie completely ice covered. That was enough to bring branches down and knock out power for several days. 2 years ago in April the 5th to be exact, an ice storm of similar caliber hitting parts of Western Quebec, including Montreal. Look at the damage here, entire trees coming down. And again in that event, we had over 1 million people losing power for several days. Why are we telling you this? Well, we're concerned about a storm that is coming in. I'm Kim McDonald. We've got meteorologist Melinda Singh. So let's look back here at the last few storms. Obviously, we've included the big 1998 ice storm here too, but these are some of the ice accretions that could lead to problems.
Very similar, like you mentioned, to March 2025 and April 2023, where we had many customers without power. Now, all this because of the setup in the atmosphere, Kim. We have a temperature sandwich, cold air aloft as well as by the surface, but we have a warmer layer of above freezing temperatures as that snow falls and melts, and then we reach that super cool layer, and that's where we see the freezing rain accretes rather on surfaces and trees and cars.
Yeah, so it's going through a little bit of a metamorphosis, and this is exactly the setup that we're getting, and it's a similar setup that Quebec and Eastern Ontario see. We've got cold air thanks to a ridge of high pressure, northeasterly winds. We've got the St. Lawrence River Valley, the St. Lawrence itself, still lots of ice here, so lots of cold air. That's the cold air at the surface. Now we've got some warm air.
And along that warm front, that warmer air really travels through, but because the valleys are lower than the surface, it really traps it in place, and that's where we're going to be seeing that prolonged hours of freezing rain for areas along the Ottawa Valley up and along the St. Lawrence. So major cities like Ottawa and Montreal, you could be looking at lots of freezing rain in the next 24 to 36 hours.
This is a very similar setup in Quebec as the 2023 storm. That's why we wanted to give you the heads up. If you lived through that, you know what we're talking about here. These are several different precipitation types because of temperature. So that's snow. This is ice pellets through the Ottawa Valley, Mattawa, and then we've got the freezing rain. And south of that, mild enough for rain. So if you're just in the rain, sure, it's going to be heavy at times, but it's not going to be as problematic.
Absolutely right, Kim, and we'll see a secondary round push in late Wednesday into early day Thursday, so you might see a little bit of a lull in between the two systems. But when it comes to those totals of freezing rain, models are suggesting that the hardest hit areas will be in Eastern Ontario, Bancroft up towards Montreal, where you could be looking at over 30 millimeters of accumulating freezing rain.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem, and winds gusting as high as 40 kilometers per hour, which adds to it. So anticipate losing power. Get ready now for that potential. Again, slippery roads. I think that schools may be closed as well. And the temperatures are not warming up. So if you do lose power, it could be on the cold side. We'll continue to follow that here. Thank you.